Generative AI is changing how people search and find your business online, and I've got the answers for you. The way in which folks search the internet these days is changing a lot. More people are using ChatGPT to ask very specific questions because they want to get the answer they're looking for. It used to be that you would search complex questions on Google, and then you would click through links and links and links to try to find the answers to what you're looking for. And that was inefficient compared to the power of a large language model like ChatGPT, like Anthropic Claude, like, for example, Google Gemini, or the AI overview built into Google, or Perplexity, or UChat. What we're seeing is a revolution in the way that we search and find stuff online. And I want to talk to you today about what that means for your business and how can you optimize your presence, your personal brand, your business brand online across Google, Bing, and all the platforms so that when customers go looking for a business like yours or for you, you are fully optimized to rank and get found by more customers. Now, here's what this matters. If you look at data, more and more and more, you're finding that customers, like sellers and buyers, are going to platforms like Google to research who's the best at what you do. In other words, we're seeing folks rely less upon relationships for handing out referrals and getting business. 1000 Watt did a big research piece here recently that talked about how sellers found and chose their listing agent, and they found that 28% of sellers now found their listing agent through online research, like reading reviews and transaction histories and so forth. And what we're seeing is an encroaching on the relationships in lieu of research. More and more, you can expect that customers, buyers, and sellers are going to find you through research, and the question is, are you optimized? Bearing that in mind, and also considering the changes happening with generative AI, there's a lot you need to know. There's some you need to do, and this is most certainly the right podcast to listen to or watch. So I'm so glad you're here. My name is Jason Pantana. I'm your host of This Week in Marketing. And if you're new to the channel, please make sure to tap that big red subscribe button and also hit the bell right next to it. It turns on notifications so that you get notified whenever we publish new episodes like this one. And this one's going to be technical. I'll be joined by a very, very special guest to break down what he is seeing in the landscape of digital marketing and search. And that is one of my digital mentors, Dennis Yu. Just to give you context, I've interviewed Dennis on podcasts many times. Dennis is the person I go to whenever I have any kind of a technical question about anything digital marketing. This guy is literally, and I mean this, he's a genius. And today's episode is going to be actionable. It will be technical, but you're going to leave today with 2 or 3 incredibly actionable next steps to position yourself to win the game of generative search. Let's dive into the interview. Dennis Yu, welcome back to the show. I am so happy to have a conversation with you once again today, talking about the power of generative AI as it relates to search and SEO strategies. You've been on the show before. The audience knows you, loves you. Can't wait to hear your insights on SEO today. How are you?
Good, Jason. Did I tell you that I had dinner with the VP of Google who's in charge of generative AI?
There's a reason why I invite you on these shows. No, you did not tell me, but you get to tell me now as we record.
So she's basically like a next door neighbor. And I like kind of pissing her off by showing her how much I like ChatGPT and talking to OpenAI. And she tells me, yes, but it hallucinates and Google has an advantage in terms of more data and the source of truth and all that. And really what she's saying, which is apropos to your question about generative AI, is that generative AI is really just a layer that sits on top of search.
Yes.
Because people are so lazy. They just want to have the one consolidated answer. They don't have to look at 10 links. They just want the one synthesized answer. And so all it is an extra layer. But Google hasn't rolled it out because there's extra cost in doing that computation. So it actually affects their financial model to roll that out.
All right.
And
so
they've tested it. I talked to the head of search quality. I'm not going to get anybody fired, but I was at a conference with some Google engineers because I was a Yahoo engineer. So, there's discussions behind closed doors. And they admitted to me that generative AI, which is the AI answers, there's different names for it, is really nothing more than just knowledge panels. So, if you do a search on Tom Ferry or Dennis Yu, and I think there's one on Jason Pantana, you see those colored boxes that pop up? Yep. Those are knowledge panels, which are really just like the answers in generative AI are really just dynamic knowledge panels.
Yeah, they're just better worded snippets in the same sense as what we've had before, the featured snippet, the knowledge panel. Yeah. But it goes to the point that you're making where people want answers to their questions. They don't want to click links and then scroll and Command F to go find the keyword they're looking for. They want a consolidated, synthesized generative AI answer. And I think there's an opportunity in this in terms of being the one who gets found and maybe helping drive traffic to your
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah.
Where's your head in terms of the opportunity for business owners and so forth?
So if I'm a real estate agent and I want to be known in Nashville, Tennessee, and I have a certain network, I go to certain restaurants, I'm part of certain clubs, I go to a church, I'm associated with other businesses and other people and other activities, then if I tie myself with those people, I interview them on a podcast, I tag them in a Facebook photo, I do a YouTube short saying, "Hey, I'm at Sally's Italian restaurant," or whatever it is. I'm sending signals to Google on who I'm associated with. Now, if I drive a knowledge panel, which if you do a search for Blitzmetrics knowledge graph, you can type in your name and we'll look it up, and there's a process on how to claim. You know how to get
Yeah,
Google verified and then claim your knowledge panel. Like all you guys, even if you're non-tech and you're just a real estate agent, you need to claim yourself on Google. It's
I
not
agree.
being verified on Instagram or verified. It's not a vanity thing. To get verified on Google allows you to claim your name on
Mm.
Google and then train Google with all the information about you.
Well, let me park there for a second. That's not really the main purpose today, but that's a really big deal. And I want to establish a distinction that you're not talking about a verified Google business profile. Most of
No,
the
a
folks
Google
who are
business
watching
profile
are
for
here,
a
yeah,
business.
different.
I'm
Yes,
talking about any object in the knowledge graph, which includes us as people,
yes,
businesses,
yes,
locations,
yes.
songs, like any noun, any object is in. So Google's database is really just a bunch of objects, and there's information associated with an object. Your name, your age, where you were born, the podcast you're on, Tom Ferry's your friend. You also
Yeah,
like the Panthers, I don't know, whatever it might be. So
right.
if someone looks up Tom Ferry, then at
Yeah,
the bottom, it's going to say people also look at, and it names all these other people in real estate. It shows Jason Pantana. Maybe it shows me, right? If you look at my knowledge panel, it says, oh, well, people also looked at Neil Patel and Mari Smith and Ryan
yeah,
Dice, right? So Google is trying to understand who your relationships are because they're going to show related people. You go to LinkedIn and you look at someone's profile and it says, oh, people also look at these other people.
yeah.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
So what we're
Same
doing
thing.
is we're exposing to Google, here's what we want to be known for. This
Mm,
part of town, or the best schools, or
mhm.
remodeling in a certain way, or whatever the topic is we want to be known for. If
Yeah,
there's proof of that on YouTube, tied to other socials, blog posts, if all those things are tied back to us as an agent or part of Remax or whatever it is, but also to us as a person,
yeah.
then when someone searches on that other agent, when someone searches on that neighborhood, it'll also say, oh, and also see Jason Pantana.
Oh,
And I see that's actually generating leads for local service businesses. It's a secret because if you can just show who you're associated with, you can be in other related search results. So if
mm,
I type in, a certain neighborhood in Nashville, homes for
yeah,
sale, I could show up in there because I'm talking about that topic. So generative AI, because it's looking for associations, not just like the fact, like the
wow.
weather outside or what. Because search has always been, give me the one answer, librarian. But generative AI is, no, I want more context. I'm expecting a deeper conversation. Show me the related sorts of things tied to my intent.
What an interesting
That,
way of looking at it. Let me go back and see if I can't put together the most important sort of chapter marks that you just outlined.
yeah,
So you got the person, your neighbor, your friend who is in charge of generative AI overviews for Google mad by saying, I like to search for things on ChatGPT. And the response was, well, they're really ChatGPT is a large language model. It's all that it is. And it's prone to hallucinations, making up fake information, etc. Even though there is a wait list right now for the search GPT. We'll see what that looks
yeah,
like when it comes
yeah,
out. Notwithstanding, Google has the ability to further enrich because right now the generative overview, the AI overview is a glorified snippet. It's a glorified knowledge panel that's a little
right.
bit more dynamic and a little bit more intuitive based upon what you're searching for, but
Hmm.
is all that it is. But what you're saying is they have the technology to go to the next level. They just haven't yet because all those messaging back and forth times the number of users of Google would be a computing. They'd need a nuclear power plant to power the machine. Is basically what
The
you're saying.
power and the financial cost of how
Yeah,
search works, and they're already locked into this existing model, and they're careful because they don't want the thing saying things that could get you in trouble, because you could try to trick the
sure.
thing to say something racist or whatnot. But let's compare the models just for a second. When you
Yeah,
look at large language models, they're not built upon the database of truth, of objects, of things, of information. It's just predicting the next word.
yeah. It's
There's no
probabilistic.
idea of us as search engine engineers, we call it the canonical. So if I
Yeah.
think about Jason Pantana, well, who is Jason Pantana? And what are the things associated with Jason Pantana? It's like I'm trying to
Right.
connect all these molecules together, right? That's what
Yeah.
a search engine's doing. It's a big filing cabinet. But an LLM doesn't have that structure. It's just predicting the next word and then probabilistically trying to figure out the next word. It's not organizing information together based on the attributes associated with an object.
And
Like,
so what you're saying is Google has the infrastructure to offer that component to it,
because it's
whereby
based on
you'll be able,
facts.
as a user, as a searcher, you're
Yeah.
going to be more likely to find what you're looking for in a way
Yeah.
that's familiar to you.
So if I think about, your brokerage or you as an agent, what are the facts that are
Yeah.
associated with that? How many years you've been doing it? What's your age? How many homes have you sold? What conferences have you been to? There's all this these factual things that I'm trying to tie to you as a person, and that person is also tied to a business. Maybe there's multiple agents that are tied to that business.
Yeah.
That structure, that relationship, is something that Google is better at than anybody in the world because the
So you're
infrastructure,
saying my
the
first step
experience.
then is I've got to get my knowledge panel verified so that I
Right.
can tell Google the nouns associated with me so it can start to form an understanding of, oh, that's Jason Pantana on Instagram, and
Yeah.
that's Jason Pantana on Yelp, and that's Jason
Yeah.
Pantana's Google business profile business, and form the relationship or the circles or the points of touch between all the different um, elements and things with which I engage
Yeah.
online. Is that right?
So I'm not trying to trick Google, which is what people are thinking about. But when I do a search for Jason Pantana in the API, did you know that there's 3 Jason Pantanas?
I had no idea.
And this first one has a confidence score of 261. And you have an ID. It's like a social security number. So
Yeah.
yours is 11GG4HJ2D8. That's
Okay.
what yours is. And when I look at your knowledge panel, which is what pops up, I see that you have not claimed
I have not claimed
your
it.
knowledge panel.
You want
Yeah.
to claim that for me, Dennis, real quick?
Well, I wouldn't want to do that because then
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
have to lie by saying that
Um,
I'm not, whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But all of us need to Jason's point, show Google this is who we are, because once we
Yeah.
verify ourselves with Google, which is not a vanity thing, it's free, it's easy to do, then we can kind of correct information and train Google to
Mhm.
understand what we do, who we are in a factual sort of way, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking about a lot of real estate agents I know
Yeah.
who maybe their name is a fairly common name.
Yep.
Or I've known a lot of real estate agents whose name is the same name as somebody who committed a crime, and all of a sudden
Oh
there's
yeah.
news articles and they've got negative SEO challenges. I would think even for those scenarios, this is a really
You
powerful
still
exercise.
can do it because you
Yeah.
still need to find your knowledge panel. And like my name, Dennis Yu, a 2-letter last name is a very common name. And there's a lot of famous people with that same last name, but I dominate that because I have claimed mine, and the Hong Kong film director and the director of IT, like all these other people have not claimed theirs. And
Yeah.
it's not because I'm famous or because I'm manipulating the system. It's because I'm telling Google, this YouTube video, this blog post by Dennis Yu, somewhere in this, American Marketing Association, that was written by me. So
Mm.
any information about me, anytime I've been published, any podcast I've been on, I am tying that back to my personal brand website, DennisYu.com, not realestateagent.com/about. I'm tying it to a personal brand website, my website for me, and
Yeah.
then the about of your company. You are not your company, even if you are a one-person company. Those are
Right.
different entities. So what most real estate agents do is they just put their bio on the about of the company instead of on
Right.
the person. So that confuses Google. So Google can't trigger knowledge panel because you would think like Google's so smart with the A and all that, but they don't. So you have to build a personal brand website, implement schema, some of these technical kinds of things, but then find any information about you, link those back to your site. Claim all your socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Even if you're not on TikTok, doesn't matter. Quora, just claim all of them, Snapchat, claim them all, and then link them back from those profiles, link back to your website. And from your
Mm.
personal brand website, link out both directions to your LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. Even if you're not using those socials, just show directionally. Those are called citations. Just try
Yep.
to tie all those citations together. And now it's like, ta-da, this is Jason Pantana, and you have a confidence score of 261. That's yours, which
Yeah.
is good. Most real estate agents, I bet you, they don't even have a knowledge graph object, or if they're there, they're probably like 12.
Well, man, I'm interviewing you and you're a genius, Dennis. I mean, I've told you that before, but you really are. And anybody watching or listening, like Dennis is the guy I go to when I don't know the answer, when I need to figure out information. He is always my resource. And you can tell why based upon listening to this. So here are the takeaways in terms of action items that I'm contemplating as a real estate agent. The first is I really need to set up my knowledge graph. I really need to get that verified. So
Yeah.
that and to do that properly, I need to have a distinction line between my business and myself personally. That might mean two websites, and then claim all my social accounts. And then I'm assuming, based upon what you said earlier, that the next layer is because I've claimed everything, then when I'm posting on Instagram, when I'm posting on TikTok, when I'm posting on my
Yeah.
blog, because
Yeah.
it's all part of the web of how
That's
I've
right.
factored in Google's understanding of who I am, then it
Uh-huh.
starts to look for other relevant signals or relationship signals of, oh, Jason's working with Tom Ferry a lot, who's also
Mhm.
verified. And then it
Yep.
understands the interplay and overlap between
Exactly.
that. I'm at this restaurant, I'm doing this, I'm with these agents, I went to
Yep.
this conference,
Mhm.
and all these social posts all of a sudden start to become substantial data points for Google to contemplate in terms of how does it factor you into the web of your relationships, your community,
Yeah.
your proximity. That's powerful, man. And I think it goes
Yeah.
back to your opening comment that behind closed doors, what the developers or Google are saying is really generative AI overviews on Google are just featured snippets. And that's
That's
the
right.
truth. And that's
Yeah.
a familiar from an SEO marketing standpoint. That's a familiar we know that. We're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And so playing into it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. And then because you're using social and you're saying the same corroborative, and that's why I take the same posts and post them to Facebook, Instagram. I like literally just repost it.
Yeah.
It's corroborating to show who you are, to show who
Yeah.
they are, because you spoke at some conference a few days
The
ago.
whole
I
is
saw
greater than
that,
the sum of
right?
the parts. Yeah.
But you're using the multiple corroborations to be able to drive your SEO. Now, when you
Mm.
drive your SEO, where do you think ChatGPT and all these other guys are getting their information from?
Yeah, I'm assuming the same places. I mean, I
So,
know, for example, my assumption with ChatGPT is they have Bing for browsing and they're just browsing search results. They're just piggybacking search engines.
right. So when we use social to drive search, we use search to actually win in generative AI and all the LLMs. So people will say, I just earlier today, someone said, who should Caleb Williams interview on his podcast? It said you should interview Dennis Yu, right? So it's generating leads, right? Because I've influenced the search and these LLMs and AI tools are pulling it out of search, right?
Walk us through that a little bit slower and more step by step so they grasp that. And
Okay.
and me too.
So when you go to, Anthropic or
Yeah.
ChatGPT or whatever your people love their favorite tool, okay?
Yeah.
And you ask a question, maybe it's a search. Where do you think that information's coming from?
They're going to pull it off search engines that already exist. They're going to
Of
run the
course
search
it
for
is.
you basically.
Right. So you can use kind of ChatGPT as like a litmus test on whether you've trained the search engine the right way too.
Yeah.
If you want to win, because we're moving towards a world where agents are going to be talking to agents, as in like AI agents,
Yeah.
not human agents
Yeah.
that are doing things on our behalf. And we want to make sure that we are represented in this AI layer, which is a layer above search, which is a layer above social, right? All this social activity, things that are happening, gets organized and structured into search. That gets
Mhm.
structured a layer further with this LLM generative AI kind of thing. There's different levels. It's not that one's better than the other. Like all the raw data kind of gets bubbled up, right?
Yeah.
So all this stuff about AI wasn't possible unless that information was structured in a database according to search. Because the
Mm.
AI tools don't have the idea of this database. They're just probabilistically, calculating what the next
Yeah,
word needs to be. It's Mad
transcriptions.
Libs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the
Mhm.
search engine's already provided that structure. This is just a layer on top of that structure. So people who are worried about, AI taking over and all that, or favoring certain things, no, just make sure you're winning in search. So the easiest way to do that is go to ChatGPT and say, who's Jason Pantana? Right? Well, Jason Pantana is this and that. And it just shows like, it's another way of corroborating. Have you made your reputation clear all the way up through these layers?
That's good. You can also pay attention to what are the searches because it will tell you what it's searching, for example. So you can see what search phrases did it utilize.
Yeah.
It will show you and cite its sources. There's typically the little quotation citation button in ChatGPT where you can see where it pulled its sources, what did it search,
Yeah.
and so forth. So I think those are all really good steps to walk through in terms of preparing yourself for how does somebody look you up in the context of generative AI, whether it's
Yeah.
ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever it might be. It's good stuff, man. So I hope viewers and listeners right now are really getting some thoughts of, okay, I'm definitely going to go to the knowledge panel. I'm definitely going to get myself verified there. That's a really good first step. That's really the big step today.
I'd
I mean,
rather
when
be
I'm
verified
listening,
on Google than verified on Instagram or TikTok or whatever.
well, yeah, because you're
Now I
doing it
can
for the
control my
right reason.
results.
I mean,
Yeah.
you get verified on Instagram or TikTok or whatever because you want impersonator accounts to stop. Getting verified on Google is because you want it to have a firm understanding of your business and yourself as a personal
Yeah.
brand across the internet. It's
Yeah.
a substantial idea.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Any other insights or thoughts related to generative AI that you think are opportunistic for real estate agents today?
You can feed the results of generative AI into ChatGPT, have it process, and then have the AI basically tune. You can use Google against itself. Okay. I'll give you an
Mhm.
example. So earlier this afternoon, this just happened.
Yep.
A friend of mine was lamenting over his like 900 podcast episodes that he's done. He's
Yeah.
interviewed everybody. It's my buddy Caleb Williams, and he hired a full-time marketing team to do all these things. And so I went to O1, which is the model that just released a few days ago, and
Yeah.
I said, please make an inventory of all of his podcasts, right?
Mhm.
And it said, oh, sorry, you can't do that. This is what you would need to do. And I said, no, no, you're a podcast expert. You absolutely know how to do this. Don't tell me you don't know how to do it. And then it went ahead and did it. And I
Oh,
said, now I want you to generate a cloud, generate the graph showing like his network. So imagine it was you, Jason, right? And here's Jason, here's Tom Ferry, and this is real estate, and this is Christianity, and this is Nashville, and this is like whatever the topics are, you can see kind of like the cloud of what your network, like who the strongest people are in your network, right?
yeah.
And it generated that. And I said, okay, that's a cool image. I like that. But can you go ahead and I'm an engineer. Can you go ahead and generate the JavaScript and use the D3 code library to generate that? Because I like D3.js. And it went ahead and wrote the code for me. Then I said, okay, great. On my phone, I've got in my Google Photos thousands of photos and videos of me and other people doing various things. Can you just go ahead and categorize that and figure out like what you think my best podcast episodes are? Because I also use Descript and these other tools like pull in all my information. So I use the AI to process, categorize, organize all my information, write blog posts that are summaries of that, then push that out to websites. It's not generative synthetic content, which is like poof out of thin air. It's my
Yeah.
existing content, real content, like
Yeah.
this thing we're doing right now, but turned into summaries and derivative content. So then it gets pushed out to social and whatever. Not, and that influences search results, which then influences generative AI.
All right. Let me break that down. I think I heard there's a connection I'm missing on two thoughts.
Okay.
I understand the idea of you had to reprompt the O1 preview model to say you absolutely know how to do this, and it did this, and then
Yeah.
it created the cloud based upon all the catalog of 900 plus podcast episodes.
Yeah.
What was the transition into you took all your photos off of Google Photos and brought that in? Walk me through that.
So I have all my photos tagged and videos, and the AI in Google already does that. I don't think people realize the AI has been around for years. I could
Yeah.
show you right now. I know podcast people can't like see this, but I can type in Jason Pantana, I can type in Dallas, I can type in sushi,
And it already
and
can sort through it.
the AI has already categorized everything.
Yeah.
The beauty is because that's been tagged, I can feed that back. You can connect Google Drives to ChatGPT. You
Okay.
can
I see where
export
you're going with that
PDFs,
now.
right?
Okay.
So I'm just uploading all of this and then saying, "Hey AI, like I even did this yesterday. I said, what do you think my superpower is?" And it said, "Oh, you're a super connector and you're a great engineer." Okay, well, based on that, what do you think I should do? Well, you should probably do that. Okay, who do you think I should talk to? What kind of deal should I do next? Hey, I just sold this company for a couple $1 million. What other asset do you think I should sell of the things that I have? How do you think it's worth? Because I spoke at
And
this
it's
M&A
reasoning.
conference yesterday because it was apropos. I'm like, okay, I'm going to meet these people. What can I buy and what can I sell? I'm going to go to this conference. Here's the people that are there. Who should I talk to? Right.
It's
But I've
fascinating.
equipped it with my information, and that's merely just coming here to my phone and grabbing all of these photos and videos. See,
And they're
all
just
the
of you
all
taking selfies with people at conferences or whatever it might
yeah,
be.
so I'm doing it intentionally because A, it helps me remember, oh, that's their name, then I, text them and I remember like that's
Yeah.
their name in the face. But it also I'm training the AI because now the AI can follow up later and saying, "Hey, it was really great seeing you in Nashville a couple days ago. What are you doing in 2 weeks from now? Or I'd love to have I saw you did this podcast on this thing here. I would love to interview you on this topic."
Mm. That's smart, man. That's super smart. So I think for the real estate agent who's watching or listening, to me, the strategy here is you, whether you're using Apple or Google, whatever, your photos are categorized and tagged. One of the advantages of the Google photos is definitely the Google Drive is already built into ChatGPT. You can connect your Drive. You can also connect OneDrive. However you do it, you can have all your photos, or you could have like an album of photos that you drop in, and it is able to pull all the metadata. Those have already been
Yeah.
tagged and classified and geotagged, et cetera. So it can get the metadata and then say, hey, I want to create content around the photos of me with Tom Ferry.
Yeah.
Boom, it can find all those photos with me and Tom Ferry. And then it can say, well, this, you were at this place, this place, this place, this place. And I can create a summary of what I was doing. It could become
Right.
blog content. It could become captions for social media posts. And then I'm feeding into the web I've created by doing the Google Knowledge Panel verified so that it's looking
Correct.
across my presence and I'm just enriching those relationships. And I am positioning my content wherever I publish it to show up in more people also ask boxes and more
Correct.
snippets. And I'm improving my ability to rank in more searches of all the people who have to do with me. That's an interesting way of looking at it, man.
It's like I
And
have
I also
20
like your,
people in my digital marketing agency, but they're all AI bots. That's the way I view it. Do not view it as like some tool. Do not view it as like, here's some box that you ask a question in and you have to say the magic abracadabra prompt.
yeah,
No,
it's not an incantation, right?
no, it's you have just, even if you're a solo real estate agent, you have a department of all these people, but they're very smart and all that, but you have to feed them the information and context, and you have to tell them
Right.
what you want to do, and they can do it. So all this social media stuff, all this digital marketing stuff, building websites, doesn't matter if you don't know how to program and Perl or whatever it is, it can do that for you. You just have to organize as the conductor. We all have to be like conductor, orchestrator, managers.
Mm,
So the we're using these AI tools to feed these other AI tools. I'm using Google on Google. It's kind of a Trojan horse thing. I'm using Google tools. I'm feeding my videos into YouTube because I know that's going to affect my SEO, right? But then I'm also transcribing it and saying, ChatGPT, turn this into another kind of article. And then
yeah.
Google, of course, respects that.
And I think your point before probably needs to be repeated that you are publishing or cross posting your content on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the
Yep.
platforms.
Yep.
So you get that sort of all lasers pointed at the same target in
Yep.
terms of building SEO. Man, this is really good
And
stuff.
there's
I've had
no
a lot of fun for
penalty
it.
for duplicate content. This is where SEO people are like, oh, you can't do that. It's duplicate content. You absolutely can, because we're not trying to trick anybody. We're trying to corroborate evidence of who we are and what we do and our relationships and that kind of thing.
Well, and it's, I mean, from Google's vantage point, it's definitely not duplicate content because it's a
Right.
LinkedIn post, it's a Facebook
Right.
post. They're
Right.
like, no, that's clearly not the same. They're different posts.
Right.
Now, from Instagram's point of view, they may say to you, we're going to prioritize original content. That has some implications of being they want something specific, but they don't have the means to know what you did and didn't do on other platforms. So I'm in
Well, either
agreement
way,
with
it
you.
ties to you. The point is that's Jason Pantana. The point is that's Tom Ferry. It's not,
That's right.
so spamming is like we create 1,000 Tom Ferry profiles. That's not what we're
Right.
doing. We're
Right.
just pushing it across multiple channels, which is totally different.
We're shepherding the flock of all the existing channels into the same target, which is massive SEO and authority.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been a fire hose as expected. Whenever I talk to you, you blow my mind. Every single time I talk to you, you blow
You're the
my mind.
best.
Dennis, where can they connect with you online?
Googling is the business card. So if you type in Dennis space YU, I'm there. And if you see that's a knowledge panel that shows up all those colored boxes, I want all you guys to get knowledge panels. So if you type in Blitz Metrics knowledge graph or knowledge panel, either of those two, there's a search box. Type in your name, and I built a tool that will help you find your actual ID. And then you find the one
Mm,
that's yours. If there's like 20 other people with the same name, find the one that's yours and go through the claiming process. And we have directions there on how you claim it. It's free. They'll get back to you within a day or two. And then all your friends will be like, hey, how did you get that knowledge panel? You're like, you're not a celebrity. Hundreds of my friends have gotten this in the last few months. And they're amazed. And even these people who think that they're SEO experts, they've never heard of this before. I'm like, how can you not know this?
Well, when did you, I'm just curious, and then I got to wrap the show up soon. When did you launch this tool with Blitzmetrics?
Oh, maybe 2 months ago.
Okay, because I'm like sitting here like, man, this is, I can't believe I haven't done this.
But the
I
tool
can't
we built
believe
for
by the
ourselves,
time you watch this episode, it will be done already.
good. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. All right, My mind is blown. Dennis, thank you. They can Google Dennis Yu. Blitz Metrics, Knowledge Graph. I just did it. I already have the link open on another tab.
Yeah.
I'm going to knock it out. Super smart, super
Reach out
smart
if you need
stuff.
help. I want to see all you guys get it, right? This is just a good thing. Good. I want to see good people win.
Yeah.
Reach
And
out.
I
I'll
think,
help you.
I also think you put a lot of people at ease. I think a lot of people look at generative AI and it's like, oh no, it's going to encroach and take away our traffic.
No,
Not if you optimize it properly.
no.
It's going to enhance the goal of search in the first place. The goal of search
Yep.
in the first place is helping the user find the most relevant results.
Yep.
So how can you engineer and architect your SEO strategy to be the most relevant result for all the topics and areas and locations and services related to what you do in your business?
If you're a great real estate agent, you are a master at building relationships. So you're going to win in generative AI. It is not a technical game. It is a relationship game.
It's good stuff, man. All right, Dennis. Thank you so much. Until next week, this is This Week in Marketing.